see by this smile on my face and a somewhat healthy tan, the Pyrenees trip went really, really well. So, I mean, what a great way to start the video. Rather than me complaining about something breaking or getting to know an AA driver, we made it back. The trip was 9 days. I went with the car, came back with the car. Perfect. What an amazing trip. Honestly, I can't thank Mark from Overlanding Forward enough. I did a huge amount of planning. He knows the routes really well. We did do a few new routes that he wasn't experienced with, and it was just brilliant. I will try and put some videos up of the actual trip itself. I didn't film the first couple of days, really, because I was pretty nervous, as you might have been able to tell from my earlier videos. The previous breakdowns, my lack of experience, it did get on top of me, and I was incredibly nervous. So I'm incredibly grateful that Mark was very patient with me with regards to my experience, what I was capable of doing and not capable of doing. He also pushed me where I needed pushing, and I learned a huge amount about the car and about me as an individual as well. So absolutely brilliant trip. So where do we begin? So let's start with Frank. Did Frank behave himself? I didn't break anything. That slight whine that I think was from the transfer box is still there. It hasn't got any worse, didn't get any better, so that didn't cause any problems whatsoever. I did have a pre-existing problem which reared its head a few times, where the actuator on the rear diff, that wasn't replaced when I had the rear diff rebuilt. The actuator gets sticky, so basically it goes on okay but doesn't release very easily. So that actuator needs replacing. It's like 180 quid. I can do it myself, no dramas whatsoever. So what happened is that it would lock the rear diff where I needed it, but then when it went to unlock it, it would say actuator stuck, and then it would turn off the functions that you would expect. So those suspension functions, which did get a bit annoying. But again, it was something that I was kind of aware of. I didn't think would cause much of a problem, and to be fair, it didn't cause much of a problem at all. Outside of that, were there any other issues? I had a lot of banging, well, not a lot of banging around, I had some banging around from the front of the car, which I've yet to discover what it is. It feels like heavy metal on metal, so I imagine it's probably an anti-roll bar, an end, or maybe a bush. I'm not quite sure yet. I will take a look, and work out what that is, but didn't cause a problem with regards to the actual driving of the car. So that was good too. I have cleaned the car since. I'm good at going over. There's no breakages that I can see. There's no leaks, no oil leaks, all that kind of stuff. It is dry. So I did quite enjoy cleaning the car out. I took a huge amount of Spanish mud off the car, which is now on my driveway. I'll stick a little video in the corner. The boys really enjoyed working on that with me as well, so that was fun to do that. There is still quite a lot behind all the arches, and eventually I'll get to doing all that as well. So what else? So I did have one failure out there, which was a really interesting one to have, and I'll explain to you why I think it's interesting. It was a wheel speed sensor. Now, way back when I got the car, I had a front wheel speed sensor go, an ABS sensor, and that has significant cascading effect on everything else. So I'll stick a screenshot of the gap tool. As you'll see, there's like 11, 12 faults that are all caused by this open circuit on a wheel speed sensor. I'm a bit sweaty at the moment because I have just tried fixing it and I got the wrong part, so I'll go back to that and I'll put a video up once I've done that and actually got that working again. But that wheel speed sensor, which is the rear right wheel speed sensor, I was able to work it out. It was that from the gap tool, so it told me which one it was. I did a live feed and it's literally zero input, complete open circuit. I've tested that today. So it is an open circuit, so I need to replace that. The problem is with an open circuit on ABS or wheel speed is that the ABS itself then turns off. Now with ABS turned off, hill descent control won't work because it uses ABS to actually slow the vehicle down when you're going downhill. So hill descent control stops. That cascades to turning off all of these special programs. So you have no ABS, no traction control, no suspension adjust. It lowers it down into the lowest road setting, and basically nothing like that works. Your dash is lit up, with all the Christmas tree functions that you'd expect to see. Now, when that went, as you can imagine, I pooped myself because I was like, oh my God, suspension load, I can't reset it, speed sensor's got, what am I going to do? What I learned about the car is just incredible. That car, the L322, regardless of these sorts of faults, which other cars have, this isn't a Land Rover or anything, that car carried on for another 4 days with no ABS, no traction control, nothing, literally nothing. It worked flawlessly. That car drove really well, straight through. We did the whole of the Smuggler's Trail, which I have got another video on. I didn't cut or edit that video up because it's just such a wicked trip. It's like an hour and a half long, so apologies. But I did that whole trip with no suspension functions, no ABS, no traction control, nothing. The car was just brilliant. On one of the days when I had issues with my special functions not working, I managed to rock crawl practically in that car just by using the car a bit more effectively without any traction control. It was immense. So I'm going to put to bed the fact that these cars are bad because they are absolutely incredible off-road. That thing was just, you couldn't stop it. So I've got no complaints. A wheel speed sensor going, any car could have that. So I'm going to order a new one, get that working, that should be fine. I'll fix that actuator as well, and that should stop that. Find the knock, we're all good. The rest of the car worked absolutely fine. The temperature, that needle did not move. We went up to 43 degrees outside through the desert. We went through 2 deserts in Spain, and that thing did not budge off the centre mark. So as a 4.2 supercharged, I've heard, that there's notoriety about it. They are the ones that overheat. That thing didn't move. I got a new water pump in it. I did change the coolant. Everything was done. The auxiliary belts are done. There's no reason why it should overheat, but that thing was absolutely perfect. The car ran perfectly. So I have no complaints whatsoever. I did obviously visit Ben from Ben's garage on the way back in France, and we had the Gap Tool Challenge, and I was the lucky winner of the Gap Tool Challenge because I couldn't zero out my issues on the Gap Tool because I've got that speed sensor thing. So I won that, so here is the trophy. I'm very, very pleased to get that. Thanks again, Ben. I had a great fun coming to see you, and thanks again for your hospitality. Paid Ben a visit. I think he put something up on the Gap Tool Challenge here as well, so I'll put a link to that as well. So that was great fun. So the car has since driven with all these faults all the way back through France, back home, and still driving around now, no worries at all. So the car itself, bang on. Sleeping arrangements, that honestly I couldn't fault it. So it was hot, and I think there's definitely, I was nervous, as I may have mentioned many times before, about the car being too hot. Did look at air conditioning units, they were all too big to put in at the last minute, it just wouldn't work. So my sleeping arrangements were, I slept in the car, obviously. One night I did try sleeping in the little cot bed thing that Mark brought out, but actually I was more comfortable in the car, so I went back to the car. I don't know whether it was the time of year, or whether we were just lucky, or whereabouts we actually stayed in the Pyrenees, but regardless of where we were, whether we were deep in a valley, by a river, or right at the top of a mountain, wild camping, breathtaking, we didn't really have many problems with mosquitoes. We had our flex tail things with us as well, which did help, but there really wasn't many issues with mosquitoes. A few flies, but really no dramas whatsoever. Probably the most apparent insects out there are butterflies, so I can't really complain about that. So sleeping, most nights I slept with the door open, certainly to the most part of the night, and then I'd swing it closed if I woke up middle of the night and it was slightly cooler, and I'd just literally swing it closed too. I had a little fan on, which I've shown you before. That was on most nights, all the night, and literally it was plugged in, but it has got a battery and it will last all night. Most nights on its minimum setting. But going to bed, I was getting in the car and it was around about 30 degrees, which took a little bit getting used to, but actually stripped down to your boxes, it was perfectly comfortable, and I slept like a baby. First couple of nights, I was obviously out of my comfort zone, didn't sleep particularly well. After that, absolutely slept like a baby. The couple of nights we spent in Salt by a river, I literally had my door open, I could see the river and hear the river. I mean, it was just, what a happy place to remember. So sleeping in the car wasn't an issue whatsoever. I think I took a lot of stuff that I didn't need. I certainly didn't need a sleeping bag. It was just in the way, never even unrolled it. So I had a little Sherpa blanket, which I took with me, which I used like first thing in the morning a couple of times just to sort of snuggle up and cuddle in, but it wasn't cold. Again, so this is about planning for the right trip. So I definitely didn't need a sleeping bag, so that won't come next time. What other stuff did I take that I didn't need? Other stuff I took I didn't need. Probably cooking stuff. I forget that when it's hot, I'm not very hungry, so I'm not really wanting to cook a big meal up, warm up, all that kind of stuff. So actually I didn't use any of my cooking gear. The only thing I used was my jet oil. So we weren't roughing it. We slept one night or 2 nights while camping, I can't remember now. And then other than that, we were on campsites where we would either cook a sort of dried meal with hot water, or Mark would cook when he cooks, or we'd go out for lunch, or go out for dinner, whatever it would be. So we weren't really slumming it. So I didn't need all that cooking gear. I literally needed to take my jet oil. I used 1 gas canister, and there's still some gas in it. I used it every day, I think at least twice a day, to make coffee first thing in the morning, or make a pasta meal, that kind of thing. So that 1 little canister was great. I didn't need to take 4. So that was fine too. Chopping board I used for sandwiches and all that kind of stuff. The knife roll I took, used that for chopping cheese and meats and all that kind of stuff. A lot of cold food. And that was about it. I didn't use any of my cooking utensils. I didn't use my pots and pans. I didn't use my cooker itself. So that could probably stay at home next time as well. I could just get away with taking my jet boil with me. So cooking was absolutely easy as pie. What else? So electricity. So power. So this is why I'm looking to potentially get rid of the diesel heater. Power. I had absolutely plenty of power. With my setup, just to remind you if you haven't seen the videos, I've got a Bluetooth AC 180 and I have a Bluetooth Charger 1. So that is the charger that comes directly off the alternator, does our voltage multiplier and then powers the Bluetooth. So that was set to 56 volts, and that's an automatic setting based on what the Bluetooth AC 180 can take. So that's an automatic setting. Now, a couple of days in, the trip switch that I've installed, which is a 60 amp trip switch, was tripping. Now I don't know what was causing that, whether there was something to do with the heat, I'm not sure, but it tripped regularly enough in the desert, it was tripping, to a point where obviously it would turn off and I'd find out I haven't charged my Bluetooth. So when I got to one of the campsites, I went in and I customized that voltage, so I halved it. So from 56 down to 28 volts. So that does obviously slow down the charging time quite a lot. And it down to about 150 amps. I think it charges out something like that. No, probably even less than that. I think it's something about 150 amps. It charges the Bluetooth app. And it stopped tripping. So that was okay. Later on, I pulled it up slightly and I'm now running at 32 volts, maybe even higher than that. I can't remember, I will double check. And it's running absolutely fine. I'm not going to put it back up to 56 volts, 56 volts, 52 volts, whatever it was, because I'm going to try and work out what that trip was being caused by. But either way, I have plenty of power. The Bluetooth was charged by the end of the day. Overnight, with the fridge running, if I were to stop the Bluetooth at 100%, the fridge running overnight, it would use maybe 20%, maybe. And that's on a particularly hot night where the fridge is really working hard. I do need to put some ventilation in for the fridge because obviously there's a lot of heat coming out the fridge, which is then heating up the car, which makes it more uncomfortable. So I'm going to try and work that out at a later date. But power was absolutely fine. I didn't use my smaller iPad on the dash, didn't bother using that. just use my phone. That worked absolutely fine. That's what I'm going to do in future. I did use my GoPros later on, so I was charging those. They charged absolutely fine, so I had no issues with power whatsoever. The Lensun solar panel on the front of the car, perfect. That kept that starter battery always topped up. So the starter battery, is perfect. The Lensun in a direct heat, but not facing the sun because it's flat on the bonnet. I think I got about 68 watts. I think was the highest I saw. It's 100 watt. It's a 100 watt solar panel or solar array thing in that bonnet panel, and I got about 68 watts. It was dirty. I did try and clean it off, but it was pretty dirty, as you'll see from some of the photos. But I was really pleased with that. There was no real degradation. It just did its job. So if you're going to go overlanding in a Range Rover or anything actually, and it's not your daily driver car and you're not fussed about having the look of a solar panel, I like the look, get one of those solar panels, even if you use it just to keep that starter battery topped up. You know you're always going to be able to start that car the following morning, regardless if you've run out of power, your fridge has stopped working, whatever it is. You can always start your car. So that was really good. So power was exceptional. What else? The trip itself was it was quite a long drive down. We went down sort of the west side of France, and then right almost to the bottom of the Pyrenees on the first day. So that was a lot of driving, about 8 hours of driving I think it was in the end, which we did on the way back as well, but by Benz. We did over into Spain, did 2 of the Spanish deserts, and then up the Pyrenees with the Smuggler's Trail. We did forest, we did crawling up the hills. Honestly, we did all sorts of different terrains, and I enjoyed every single minute of it, to be fair. I'm missing being away already, so I've definitely got the itch to kind of plan something else and go away. So definitely will be doing that. Anything that I would need to change on the car. So at the moment I've taken the roof rack off because I'm going to be putting some new conduit around the cabling. I've got some harder conduit rather than that flexible stuff, because it just lets the water in, it gives an opportunity for corrosion. So I'm going to be changing that. The roof rack will go back on. I am going to change my sleeping arrangements, and that'll come in a later video. I'm going to make it a bit of an adaptation, which should give me some more space whilst not really reducing my sleeping space. But other than that, the car really, I don't need to do much else with it. It's pretty good. So yeah, what a successful trip. I'm just over the moon. It was probably one of the most fun 9 days I think I've ever had. It was really great fun. Just, yeah, I've got no complaints. Well, look, that's all I wanted to do. And I did a quick update really of how it went, to kind of reassure you that I haven't broken down and I'm not still stuck out in Spain. I am back. It went well, and I'm ready for my next trip. So watch this space. If you want to see what I'm going to be doing to the car next, please do consider subscribing. Click the little notification bell because I'm trying to do it weekly, but it's not happening at the moment because I'm a bit busy. But if you click the notification bell, then obviously when I upload something, you will be notified. And yeah, I will see you hopefully very soon in another video. Thanks very much.